They will start like this. Mark Skate from pole position. Jason right next to him. Stephen Richards there. Then you've got Ingle and Ellery, 5 and 6. Crompton and Rick Kelly, 7 and 8.
Glenn Seaton and Garth Tander round out the top 10. Tony Longhurst and Craig Lowndes had engine problems. They've done an engine change in the AA Motorsport car for race 2.
We spoke about Paul Radicic. He'll start from 13th. Craig Baird from Team Brock in 17th. There's Max Wilson yet again. A great qualifying performance and an ordinary race performance right down through to 28 of Brad Jones. We'll be starting with 36 cars. We believe 35 maybe on the grid and one in pit lane. Greg Rust.
Guys, I can tell you that John Bowe has just won a race against time in the Aussie Mile Ford. If that car had not been moving down pit lane before the 5-second board was displayed, he would be out of this one. They found dramas when they replaced the steering rack and the power steering pump, and they also found a leak in one of the hoses. They had to change 2 hoses to stop that leak and get the Aussie Mile Ford to the end of pit lane. He will start this one from pit lane, and let me tell you, Bowie is pretty fired up.
I can imagine he would be. He was fairly fired up after that incident with Max Wilson in the first race. So 35 cars on the grid, 1 in pit lane. Bright versus Scaife at the front. Richards and Ambrose behind them. Building up the revs as the crowd gets ready for race 2, and we're underway. Smoke pours out the back of the HRT Commodores. Richards had a look on the inside of Mark Scaife. It's a drag down the main straight up to 250 k's plus. Can Stevie Richards get him at turn 1? He will.
Fantastic move by Stephen Richards. He got off the line particularly well. Cut a nice clear line down the inside of the circuit, and now he's wrested the lead from the Holden Racing Team cars as they sweep under the Yokohama Bridge. Look at the thunder there as they shake the camera. Hard under brakes down into the infield section. There's Marcus Ambrose just on the outside. Stephen Ellery's got a good start too.
Sorry, Mark, I think Scaife's got him back. He got him back. Stevie Richards just went a little bit wide. As they came through turn 3, they ducked under the bridge at maximum speed, and Richards just drifted to the left. Got a bit of smoke coming out of the inside rear tyre, and Mark Scaife saw the opportunity and pounced halfway through lap 1. Scaife gets back his number 1 position. Now we've got Richards, then Bright, then Stephen Ellery. That'll be Neil Crompton. Problems for Paul Morris.
Look at the smoke pouring from that car. I wonder if that's another power steering failure. Pouring from under the bonnet there. Behind the wheel, we'll find out when they get into pit lane, but we've had a number of technical failures here with cars throughout the weekend, and that looks pretty ominous for Paul Morris. Smoke pouring from the back of the Sirame Wines car, and he's coming into pit lane early before the pit lane has opened for the compulsory tyre change period.
I'll tell you what, he made a bit of a charge there too, because Paul Morris started in 14th position, and what was he, about 4th or 5th coming around that bend before he had that problem, so he really gave it to him hard. The PlayStation 2 race score after lap 1 looks like this. Scaife, Richards, Bright, Ellery, Ingle, Crompton in 6th. There he goes in car number 27. Ambrose, Seaton, Rick Kelly, and Paul Morris now in pit lane, so he'll start to drop down that race score.
Gee, Stephen Ellery would be enjoying this run in the front. Here there's oil on the track where they come off the bridge. That'll be from Paul Morris's car, so hopefully the oil flags are out.
Oh, Brad Jones. Oh. And again, oh, big cruncher.
And look who it is, Greg Murphy again.
And Todd Kelly off the side there too. One of the Shell Helix Fords was in there. I think it was Paul Radicic. But the front of Brad Jones' Aussie Male Ford Falcon is an absolute mess. There's Kelly. He's got troubles to the front right.
So Murphy and Kelly both caught up in that. And look at the damage to the Aussie Male Falcon. Wow. Todd Kelly, a hapless victim in that. Greg Murphy was caught up as well. Murph got going. But Todd Kelly, look at the battle damage on car 15.
They can't take a trick, the Kmart Racing team, nor the Aussie Male Racing team either. They've been jinxed for this round. Let's see what happens here. So Brad Jones gets spun around. Car number 24 is Paul Romano behind him. Wilson gets past. Wakefield got through. By now there's a bit of damage and crunch. That was Radicic.
So Murphy was on the inside. Kelly was on the outside. They both came to grief. Let's have a look at this again on the Nintendo replay. Now what happens here to Murphy? Todd Kelly drills the side of the car, but Murph's all sideways. There he is, taking avoiding action. Todd Kelly not so lucky. So Murphy once again caught up in the dramas. Todd Kelly, though, serious damage to car 15.
Take a look at the damage to car 21 as well, Mark. I mean, he's got left panel damage all down that side, front and back, and the front of the car is a big mess. These guys are probably the hardest workers of the day, the safety card board and flag guys, as we take a look in at car number 65. So Wilson must have got into some trouble there. Now, was that Stephen Johnson? It wasn't Radicic. It was Johnson, the end of Kelly's day. He'll want to get out of Oran Park in a hurry. He's had enough of it. So too is Max Wilson.
Fantastic shot down the end of the straight as they come down toward the sweeper. The V8 pack. Stephen Richards in second now. Jason Bright in third. Stephen Ellery, the first of the Falcons, in fourth. And it's Ingle. And, of course, Marcus Ambrose fighting back after a terrible pit stop in race one. He really clawed his way back through the field. One of the drives of race one to get himself back in contention. Now he's at the back of this leading 6 cars. Neil Crompton has had a great start too. He and Stephen Ellery will be delighted with the way things are going so far. Whoops!
Oh, Glenn Seaton.
Well, we didn't see what started that, but there's obviously been a collision mid-pack, and Seaton does the miraculous recovery. He gets back full 360 and rejoins the battle a few positions further back. So great recovery from Seaton. Not quite sure what set that off though.
Paul Radisich is coming in any time now, but his teammate Stephen Johnson is out of this one. You sound like you're an innocent party and all that.
Yeah, mate, we've had a pretty dreadful weekend, but for a start, I stalled on the grid, got it going, and got back up quite a few places, and then Brad Jones got turned around, and unfortunately couldn't miss him.
Put it behind you, mate. Bring on Winton and bring on Queensland 500, eh?
Oh, mate, I'm getting stronger by the weekend.
The weekend, though, is over for Stevie Johnson. Bring on Queensland, all right. Remember, they're the defending champions at the Queensland 500. It has been such a lean year. This is what happened to Glenn Seaton. Rick Kelly's behind him. That's coming over the top of the bridge, the Yokohama Bridge, and Seaton just does the big 360, gets his head straight, and rejoins it. Now the pit window's open. This is where it all unfolds. About 6 or 7 cars in there.
Is the sole remaining Aussie male Falcon. Just got into the race, John Bow, and he made it by seconds with repairs running really late.
Wasn't the fastest of stops so far. Really, the benchmark today has been the Kmart Racing team with a 7.1 second stop. It's still not bad for John Bow. Let's hope that he can pick up some positions and salvage something from this weekend.
So there's Stephen Ellery. He's come in early as well.
Didn't see any of the leading drivers come in there, so they're managed to stay out. Now, while all that was unfolding in the very first lap, keep your eyes on Jason Bargwanna. So this was around the same time that Bradley Jones got crunched to smithereens. Jason Bargwanna was also a victim. He was side by side with Cameron McLean. There he goes, shooting off. Not for the first time this season, but this time Bargwanna stays on all fours. Wheels, that is. Here we go. Mark Scaife comes in now for his pit stop. Lap 8 of 58.
Well, no one prepared to throw the dice. Scaife certainly doesn't need to. He's got a massive points lead. He can run a conservative race strategy. Get him in nice and early.
The one thing Mark said before the start of this race was it's important to get into a rhythm. He felt he got a good rhythm in that last race, looked after the tyres. He was urging the guys in the team to do that. A 7.95 second stop. That's the best way to keep in the rhythm, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. It was 2 seconds quicker than what they did in race one, so they've tidied up their act there too. My man is looking a bit untidy. Joins us in the commentary box. Brad Jones. Boy, did you cop the short back and sides there?
Yeah, certainly got one for my trouble.
It is always a problem though when you start further back in the pack. Everyone's elbowing and there's all sorts of desperation going on back there.
Yeah, and you tend to bump into blokes that it's all starting to happen a bit too fast for.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, when you're at the back, you get caught in all that stuff. And really unfortunate. The Aussie male car was probably, I feel, certainly one of the 5 fastest cars on the track today. And while it's inconvenient to be back that far, I really felt we could still get up into the top 10 as the race drew on. So, wow, have a look at this. They look so slow when they come into the pits, don't they?
Well, they are, aren't they? They're getting up to around a minute to do a full stop, and that's without any fumbles. Here's Stephen Richards, Jason Bright, Marcus Ambrose, a lot of these top guys coming in together. This is going to be a real battle of the pit crews here.
It is, and you think that going that slow, you're just sitting around, looking around, but you're concentrating as hard to come into the pits as you are coming out.
Well, Stephen Richards has been in here for 7 seconds. Another good stop by the Castrol team. Richo gets out ahead of Jason Bright. Bright's going to get walked in by Romano, but he doesn't get out in front of Ambrose. Ambrose edges ahead of Jason Bright in pit lane.
The emphasis on the car controller to make sure that the car rejoining pit lane does so safely, and there's been a bit of discussion about that, and that's why they held Jason until Marcus went by then.
Coming into pit lane's not that easy either, is it? There's not a lot of room up there, although it was a different story. Unfortunately, when you came in, your car was just a little bit thinner than it should have been.
Yeah, about a foot narrow on one side.
So how bad's the damage? Have you had a chance to check out the car much?
We have a drive day tomorrow, but it's damaged the front and rear rail. It's torn the side out of it. I mean, at one point, I just shut my eyes as they started piling into me. So I foolishly hoped that it was all panel damage, but unfortunately it's done more than that, so that was the end of the day.
Well, the man who turned you around, Paul Romano, he's been issued with a black flag or a drive-through penalty.
I think that says it all.
Here's Marcus Ambrose. Damage on the driver's door of the Pertec Falcon. More come in now. John Faulkner just about got gassed in race 1. He had an exhaust leak in the car, and it made it very, very difficult toward the end of that one. Here's another one of the Castrol Commodores. Russell Engel was leading this race. Neil Crompton, Lowndes has already been in.
There he is, he's coming out. So Russell Engel darts out in front of Craig Lowndes. Rick Kelly has to wait. Lowndes goes through.
So they're all rejoining. We're just waiting for all these compulsory stops to unfold, and Lowndes rejoins just behind Paul Radicic. So we just wait for all these positions to unfold. Radicic running 19th. And he's one of the cars.
You see Craig's car sliding around there. When they're on cold tyres, it's really, really difficult to keep the momentum of the car going so the guy behind can't get by, but you can maintain your place and not let the guy in front skip away too much.
These fighting for positions, Brad, at Oran Park, it seems to be really important, because after the pit stops and the race starts to settle down into a rhythm, we see it year after year here, the cars generally stay in that spot. No one seems to be able to have a go.
They tend to, and when you go back out on fresh tyres, you've got like a 5-lap window where you can really make a bit of pace and catch up to the guy in front of you and have a bit of a go at him offline.
Great shot there. Craig Lowndes getting those tyres up to temperature.
Just before we let you go, Brad, I just wanted to get a word on Bathurst looking further ahead. After Bathurst last year, when you partnered with Jim and you got second position overall, this year you're going, what, with Johnny Bow?
Yep.
Was it hard?
Yeah, it is hard. John Clun did a fantastic job with the team yesterday, but I think the competition is so tough that you need two guys in the car that are doing it all the time. And really, John and I'm hoping will be an extremely strong driver combination. The car's got plenty of pace. We showed that here today and have it the last few races. So bring them on. I can't wait.
Leland and Lay in the other car, and you and JB in one.
Yeah, and we're looking at running them both as hard as we can, and hopefully they'll finish in the top 10.
Well, mate, good luck for the rest of the afternoon. Sit back and enjoy the race if you can. Maybe piece together that Aussie Mail Ford Falcon. Lap 14 of 58.
Jeff, the main thing you've been talking to Mark about is just to nurse those tyres and look after it. How's the car handling?
Oh, very good. I mean, we concentrated right from the word go on our race setup. Greg, the guys really didn't worry about qualifying, even though Mark was a bit disappointed. But it's so crucial to have the car nurse the tyres right to the end. Because as you can see, there was a few pace cars, so you want to make sure that your tyres are in the best condition in case there is, the last 20 laps, and you need then the race to be on. Thanks.
And speaking of HRT, they actually own the fastest of that round of pit stops there. It was a 6.7 belonging to Jason Bright, a 6.7 second. That's a cracker. It's almost faster than we've ever seen before. We did dip into the 6-second mark in Perth, but are we about to see these lightning stops the norm? It's frightening when you think that they've halved them in 1 year.
Absolutely incredible, Grant. Look at the times that Formula One teams do to change tyres with goodness knows how many men over the wall. They've only got one guy per wheel, and the fact they're doing them under 7 seconds is phenomenal. There's a comparison of the last 5 lap times for Paul Radicic and Craig Lowndes. The green box tells you who was faster that lap. The red one tells you who was a bit slower. You can see they're very evenly matched at the moment. The Rat, Shell 18 making that a very wide forward. Lock brakes on the inside big time. That allows Lowndes a sniff up the outside.
And Lowndes will be wanting to hold him in as tight as he can there, so he can't brake too late. It's nice and close. They'll go maybe around the next one side by side, or maybe Craig will drop in. No, yep, he drops in. The problem is if you stay out there through too many corners, the next guy gets you, and then the next guy gets you. You've got to get to a point and go, okay, I give up. You see Paul's steering wheel there, just in that side shot, that he's working the car very hard to try and stay in front of Craig.
It's the battle for 9th place. Radicic in 9th, Lowndes in 10th, Neil Crompton in car 27, 11th. Garth Tander, Murphy fighting his way back from that first lap altercation. Baird, Kelly's in there too, Rick Kelly, Tony Longhurst.
You just feel here that Lowndes has got a bit too much for Paul, but he's fighting as hard as he can, cleanly as he can. He's not running down the inside of the road, but he is moving a little bit over towards the middle. And really, the engines are so similar, as you can see, it's hard to pass them down the straight. This part here, you brake hard, then you get off the brakes a little, then another hard braking application into the next corner. and difficult to slide up the inside there, as you see.
Sure. A few lock breaks there from Radicic, though. Defending hard from this concerted attack from Craig Lowndes.
And you see Tander on the outside there. They'll give you an idea how slow these two are going while they're dicing.
Yeah.
They're certainly getting somewhat of a Congo line going behind them now. And this is when it gets hard, because now Lowndes needs to make sure that Garth doesn't get by.
And Garth right up on the curb.
So he's gone from having 100% focus on Paul to having a bit of a focus in the rear view mirror, and that's great news for Paul. Oh, have a look at Lowndes' car slide there, because now Paul can see that the others have caught up, and he knows it's going to take a little bit of heat off him.
There's been an incredible amount of power steering failures around here for about 4 or 5 cars. What do you put it down to?
It's a quite amazing thing. I'm not sure. I mean, you hit the curbs very hard here, and maybe that's got something to do with it. I wouldn't say they've got an especially large load on the power steer here compared to some of the other circuits, but Lowndes has got a bit more car speed than him, but he can't do anything with it.
Brad, did you just figure that this is the best place to watch the race, or you just didn't want to go back and see the carnage in your car?
I had a quick look at the car and I thought I'd better get up here quickly.
I thought you wanted to get out of here. That's why I was going to let you go last break, but you're more than welcome to stay around as long as you want.
It's a little depressing back in my pit area.
You've got a drive day tomorrow for your sponsor, Aussie. What are you going to do? Is just put gaffer tape all over it?
Yeah, I think I'll be piggybacking them around.
This is a great battle here. Really, really strong.
And I think it's going to end in tears.
Yeah, look at them all over the place. Paul Radicic, Craig Lowndes, Garth Tander, Crompton, Murphy, Baird. They're all starting to bank up now.
Murphy's about to get Cromley here, not quite. But the thing is, you've got to go a little offline to try and pass someone. And what happens is, if you keep on blocking them, then you're going to get the bad sportsmanship flag. And Paul needs to be a bit careful with that.
Here from race control, he's already been shown it, Brad, just as you said that. The bad sportsmanship flag's been shown to Radicic. They've said that you are allowed to block or to defend your position in the final few laps of a race, but this is only not even half distance.
Yeah, and really he's just over to the inside a bit too much. Pretty stiff call. I'm not sure whether they warn them about that on the radio so you can be told what he does, but he'd be very, very upset to receive that.
Well, they do. I was talking to driving standards advisor this morning, Colin Bond, and he said, there you go. When Radicic has let him through, he said that we will show the bad sportsmanship flag to warn the driver we are thinking about awarding a penalty if you continue that behaviour. So there's always the opportunity there for the driver to sort out the situation.
And like you said, they're quite keen to let it go in the opening laps of the race and the closing laps of the race, and maybe after a safety car's been out, but then any side of that, when they're like in this little battle, they're going to come down hard, and they have on Paul Radicic.
And as long as it's consistent, then that's good, because it'll liven up the racing, but it's got to be consistent. Is Murphy at work?
Yep. Great shot there from the back seat of the Kmart Commodore. He's been flying. Murphy's really fought his way back. He's up into 13th spot now.
Well, he started behind me, so how he got through our incident, I'll never know, but he's done a great job.
Well,
and really,
he was actually involved.
Fast.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, he got involved. His teammate came off much worse. That was the car that drilled your car.
I'd probably have my eyes shut by then.
Yeah. But Murph took avoiding action, went off to the infield, got going again, and he's really storming through the field. Great shot there. Onboard telemetry tells the story. Look at the road speed on the analog display there. 220, 230, 240.
Have a listen to that car on the rev limiter down there.
Don't these things haul the mail? It's not often you see a V8 hitting the rev limiter.
Oh,
he had it all locked up. Look at the smoke inside the car.
Yeah.
But it's
amazing how relaxed you look when you're in there and you know you're going to have an accident. Let me tell you, when you're actually driving the car, you're as tense as anything, not as relaxed as it looks from up here.
They really have been impressive, Kmart.
Well, they don't run the same spec as HRT. They've got, not a strong engine package and other things. I mean, the chassis is basically the same, I guess, but they are doing a fantastic job. And Murph, he's a good driver. He's doing a great job here.
Unfortunately, though, Greg Murphy came in here second into this round, second in the championship. He was 609 points behind Mark Scaife, and after race 1, with Scaife winning and Murph not finishing, that's now gone out to 709 points.
Wow. I wonder if they've put the name on the trophy yet.
Well, let's have a look at the Nintendo replay. And this is looking from the back.
Boom. Yep.
He really gave it all the wheels locked up there.
You can be sure they got Paul's attention.
It must be frustrating, I guess, when you look back at the unfulfilled potential we keep seeing at these rounds with the Fords. Like, they qualify well. Fantastic qualifying performance yesterday by Ambrose. But they had a drama in the pits, and then Lowndes running strongly until he had an engine problem. I mean, it just goes on from race to race.
That's true. You know, I can't dispute that, and they really, none of us can get up close enough to HRT to really keep the pressure on them, I guess.
Oh,
there we go.
That's Murph. Well, I was saying he was making great progress, but it's all come to nothing. He's stuck in the gravel trap. Is he driving his way out or not? Oh, he's managed to get out.
Getting out of it.
Well,
I think he was looking for an exit gate out of Oran Park. Straight onto the M5 and out of there to the airport.
He's had a rotten day, hasn't he?
He's just run a bit wide there. He must have been trying to go around the outside of Paul, and it just wasn't right.
Let's have a look at the replay. This is on board. And
Whoa!
Well, he was very lucky to get out of there. There's a massive amount of gravel trap there.
I'd say Paul's a lucky one. Have a look at this. How close, if he hadn't have taken that action, he would have nailed that shell car properly. And he slid across the gravel trap and got onto the grass.
Just got out of it.
Very, very lucky man.
This is the battle for the lead. Scaife, 2.3 seconds in front of the Pertec Falcon. Well within sight of Marcus Ambrose.
And when they're in sight, that's when you can get missile lock on them. When you can see them and you can look and see where they brake, then you can edge up. Now, Marcus isn't quite close enough to have Mark suck him along, but he's getting there. And the trick is,
you can see there, Brad.
Closer,
yeah, they're 3 out of the last 5 laps. He's been faster than Scaife. 2 tenths, 2 tenths, 3 tenths. So he's really, he's chomping away at that lead. Well, watch this gap between these two cars. 2.3 seconds last time around. Now it's down to 2.1.
Scaife leading this race. There he is on board with the 4-time series champion.
Certainly shows he's got plenty up his sleeve around this place. He's just done an 11.2. Ambrose a 12 dead. It did have it down to about 1.4 seconds. It's out to 3.2 seconds in the space of a couple of laps. So Scaife's got plenty up his sleeve, it seems.
Well, I think Marcus has just worked his tyres to the maximum, trying to pull Mark in, and he's either had a moment or he's just gone, okay, sliding. Look at the thing sliding around.
No.
Yeah.
That's gone deep in the dust.
Yeah.
He can get himself. I think he's going to drive out of there. I don't think it's too deep.
Wow, I couldn't.
I don't know if he can at the moment. He's back on.
Wow.
It just goes to show how much he's struggling with rear tyre grip out there.
Yeah, now the tricky part for him is he's going to, he was dropping off the back of Scaife, and he's got Stephen Richards all over him now, so he needs to calm down. He needs to take a couple of deep breaths. He needs to just reacquaint himself, because he's just lost all his confidence, and he needs to try and not block him, but just get his momentum back and keep on keeping on, because in a minute he's going to dump another couple of spots. And of course Stephen is going to make him feel as uncomfortable as he possibly can, but that actually played into Marcus's hands.
And that's what you were saying before. The focus now for Stephen Richards goes from not who's behind him, but who's in front of him. He's got Marcus Ambrose in his sights now, so he can start hunting him down. The PlayStation 2 race score, those little yellow chips on the side there tell you who's moved up and down. There's some good news for you. Brad John Bowers moved up 18 positions. He's up to 13th at the moment.
Fantastic job.
That incident there with Ambrose, oh, look how sideways he's getting.
No rear tyres on that car. He needs to drive it straight if he's going to get it to the end of the race.
Bright's got a bit of an opposite lot coming off the bridge too, so...
These two cars behind him have a similar problem, but he needs to screw a little bit of front brake onto that car. He needs to get the rear bar as much out of that as he can, so the car can put the power down, drive at the corner.
This is the moment for Marcus Ambrose.
You see it have a little head shake first, and have a look at it. It's gone. And he is so lucky to be able to drive out of there.
Well, he had it in first gear and the foot against the firewall as soon as the car went backwards, so he managed to keep it out of the kitty litter. But I guess that sort of encapsulated what we've seen throughout the season, Brad. Holden Racing Team, particularly toward the end of the race, the way those cars look after their rear tyres. Stone Brothers can match them in raw speed, but when it gets right down to the end, maybe their tyre durability is just not as good.
Yeah, quite possibly, but you've got to say, Mark has run a fantastic race. If you look at Jason Bright here, he's sliding the car around, he's having a big go at getting past Stephen Richards, and he's chewing up his rear tyres. Scaife stayed there, the gap got down to about a second. You know, he responded, and while Marcus used up all the tyres he had to get to him, Mark waited until he was close enough, and then away he went.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's pretty smart motor racing.
One of the things that Russell Ingall said to me in between races 1 and 2 is that the 1 lap or the 2 laps straight after your tyres start to go are fairly hairy laps.
Very hairy laps, because they don't just go at the back, they go at the front, so you're chasing the car all over the road, and that's why you saw Marcus's car when he spun, had a bit of a nose shake before the back went, slide at the front, you try and correct it, can't quite pick it up, and you swap ends.
Mark Scaife, a 1:12.1. Marcus Ambrose has the fastest lap of this race, 1:10.1. That was set by on lap 11, and he's just done a 1:12 neat.
These are very long races, and when you consider the majority of the teams are coming in on lap 3, 4, 5, guys are doing a very, very good job to hang in there for the whole race distance.
Absolutely. So the order: Scaife, Ambrose, Stephen Richards, Jason Bright, Russell Ingall. There's a great battle there for third spot.
Guys, just quickly, it sounds as though Craig Lowndes has a radio problem of some sort, and it's a little obscure one when he's shifting gears. If the team are talking to him on the radio, he says it breaks up massively and he can't understand the communications to them at the moment. At least they can hear him and what he's saying to them.
Yeah, it makes a tough day even tougher. It's David Bernard, consistent run.
You actually would be very surprised how much you do use the radios when you're in the car.
Yeah.
You know, trying to get the information. All you've got is a dash and a mirror and your radio. So, and if you've got a little bit of time out there, you want to know who's where and, you know, who's closing and who's not. So if you don't have it, it can be quite inconvenient.
You've got a fair bit of time coming down that main straight, don't you? I mean, it's a fairly long run.
My brother tends to talk to me almost anywhere on the track.
Your brother talks to anyone on the track.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, what's happening here? Stephen Ellery's running very competitively at the moment, up to 7.
Yeah, he is. I think we're at the point in the race where they're all starting to feel the pain of a bit of tyre wear.
Yeah, but look, a really telling shot is that one where they come off the Yokohama Bridge and you see how much
Opposite lock they've got on.
Because a lot of the guys are power sliding off that bridge, really giving those rear tyres a hard time.
Lap 51 of 58. Mark Scaife is doing it so easily at the front. Clear road in front of him. His nearest competitor is almost 14 seconds further back down the road. And that's Marcus Ambrose. It'll be 2 out of 2 for Scaife today. Another clean sweep. Assuming he can handle the next 6 laps.
Well, Craig Baird, you had an engine let go in Perth, and it looks like there's another one for Team Brock. Another disappointing DNF.
Yeah, we've had a few problems with oil lines. We haven't lost an engine as yet, but just been an oil line or something's come loose again because we clawed our way into the top 10. The car was really, really strong. We made a big difference, changes and setup, and we would have definitely had a top 10 finish there, but after about 12, 14, 16 laps, somewhere around there, it just started sliding around, and I didn't know what it was. I thought something was broken in the suspension.
It's still very much a developmental year, isn't it? We know we talked to Peter Brock, and he has plans of a 2-car team and a Konica team, and this really is just stage 1 in that whole process, isn't it?
Yeah, you also get this with an older car. It is an older car, and you know, they get worked pretty hard nowadays. So we were happy to be in the top 15 for the qualifying, 15 in the warm-up, running reasonably strong in that race. So we're just going to pick it up and get on to the next one.
It'll come, yeah, eventually. Thanks, Craig.
Gee, isn't there a huge question mark over who he'll be driving with at Bathurst? It's the biggest talking point
Everyone's talking about
around, and everyone wants to see one man with Craig Baird. That'll be Peter Brock. That's who they want to see, no doubt. It'll be a 30th anniversary since Brocky won his first one on the mountain. There'll be 42 cars at Bathurst this year, 32 V8s, 6 Konicas, and 4 wildcards to make up a 42-car grid. And just by the way, for the Ford fans, you remember the competitions we've had over the years there? Well, now is the time.
Oops.
Oh, Jason Bargwanna coming off the bridge. Jason Bargwanna in big trouble.
Was back in 28th spot. That'll put him right down the order. He's had a rotten day, hasn't he?
As opposed to being in 28th.
Just those Ford fans, this year it's a fly the flag competition. So now is the time to start making your flag and start flying them on the mountain. Now we're on board with the enforcer, Russell Ingall.
And he looks busy.
Certainly does. This is 5th position. In front of him is his teammate, Stephen Richards.
Get a good idea here of how well those rear tyres are hanging in, Brad.
Yeah, you see he's using 3rd gear across there and over the bridge, where earlier on when we were in with Mark, he uses 4th gear there. There's a bit of there's two lines of thought about that. You can use 3rd or you can use 4th. It's a bit like the turn 2 off the main straight that we're heading towards now. You can use 2nd or 3rd. Early in the race you tend to use 3rd because you use the torque of the car to drive it out. But if you pull it back to 2nd gear, if the car's not behaving properly, you can retard the speed of the car and then make it jump out of the corner. It brings your corner speed down, but sometimes it's a better system towards the end of the race when your tyres are going off a little.
Russell had engine problems to start this weekend, and he freely admitted that he's driving a little bit nervously around here. He doesn't really know whether to attack because he thinks that this one may give way at any stage, but it's certainly done the business now. 54 laps in a pretty ferocious race. He's holding on to 5th position.
He doesn't have much trouble attacking, let me tell you.
Like Marcus Ambrose said in race 1, you're playing hardball.
Yeah.
Russell's playing hardball again.
Whoa.
And
Wakefield.
he will not be happy about that. Well, we just saw Wayne disappear into the boonies. There he is. Thanks for coming.
Well, he's been caught up in a bit of fisticuffs throughout the day. Wakefield trying to get some miles up in the car.
And it's a very difficult thing. This is a tough
Oh,
grid
yeah.
of people here.
Let's have a look at that incident again.
Wayne's committed to go down there. Russell's just, you know, never going to get down there. But he is a lap ahead of Wayne, and Wayne should really have rolled out of the throttle before they got to that point and let Russell by. Russell's dicing for position. It's costing you precious time. You need to let them press on.
So it's been pretty slim pickings this year for the Ford fans. What sort of hope can you give them for the big enduros coming up, the Queensland 500 and backers? Can you take the fight right up to these, the Holden?
Well, it's not like we're not trying now. Everyone's doing their level best. I mean, I'd like to think we can. We certainly gave them a run for their money last year, but the going is tough out there. We run a different tyre. It changes the characteristic of the cars slightly. I'd like to think we can. The endurance races are always different to the sprint races. It brings more people into play and mixes it up a little bit, and I'm hoping that the Fords can really take it to the Commodores for long distance races.
Well, there's certainly Ford fans around the country who'll be wishing you all the best.
You're just pumping the brakes there. Towards the end of the stint, the pads tend to wedge a bit in the brakes, in the disc, so your pedal starts to run away a bit. When you hit a curb or something like that, it gets a bit of flex in the front upright, and it makes the pedal go a little bit soft. So sometimes before you get to the corner or the end of the straight, you just give it a light brush just to pump the pedal up so you've got a nice firm pedal when you're trying to pull the car up at the end of that straight.
You do often see that, as you say, toward the end of a race, everyone pumping the brakes. Here's Craig Lowndes. Here's his teammate Rodney Forbes, a bit further back, getting passed by Stephen Ellery. He's still in 8th spot.
Who's done a great job this weekend.
Sure
he's had
has.
a shocker of a year, and he's certainly mixing it up there at the moment.
We talk about how tough it is for single car teams, Brad. You know what it's like. You tried to do it last year, but now you've got 2 cars. It sort of doubles the data acquisition, doubles the progress.
For me personally, the thing that it's really helped is it gives me someone to bounce ideas off, look at the acquisition and see what's going on, and that is really critical. That makes a big difference, and especially if you've got a teammate that you like and you can work with, it makes life a lot easier. And as you said, when you go testing, you gather a bit more information and you can make it work. Lowndes' car is quite pointing into the corner quite well, so I'd say his rear tyres are feeling a fair bit of pain at the moment, but he's certainly got Besnard covered here at the moment, and a few more laps he'll be right on him, challenging for a position.
It's the battle for 6th. Bernard hanging on in 6th, adding to his consistent performance throughout the year. It's a shame, actually, David had such a rotten start to the championship with the Clipsal 500, double points on offer there.
He's done a really good job this year. In fact,
Sure has.
I'm a bit surprised. He had a bit of a shocker in qualifying. He was nearly a second quicker than all of us there at one stage in practice, but just couldn't quite put it together for qualifying.
Well, Jim Vale, it's been a relatively good weekend for the Castrol squad.
Started off fairly badly, but it's got better as the weekend's gone on. So with Stephen having a 3rd and Russell a 5th in the first race, and now we're in 4th and 5th, so it's not too bad.
Right now.
Thank you.
Jimmy Vale, another man who's done a lot of time in Formula 1, working with the Jordan team. He's returned home now to front the Perkins Castrol operation. So a lot of experience there in pit lane. Great to have Jim back on the scene. He did actually do a short stint with Wayne Gardner racing back in the early to mid-90s before heading back overseas for more Formula 1. Now he tells us he's back for good.
Yeah, and he brings a wealth of information with him.
It's incredible, isn't it?
My teammate, stalking Tony Longhurst. Now, I think John had to start from pit lane in this one.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Only just made it too. There's only seconds in it.
That's 12th, 11th and 12th position. Tony Longhurst in 11th, John Bowe in 12th. One of the good movers has been Cameron McConville. Yet again, he's up to 14th. He's jumped 22 positions. So he qualified 5th, Cameron McConville, then had some unfortunate luck in race 1, but now he's come back in race 2 in front of his home crowd. Sydney-based Lansvale Smash Repairs team, but out in front, It's all this man again. Mark Skaife, car number 1 for the Holden Racing team, completes his final lap here at Oran Park, where he's won for the last 3 straight years. Another maximum points weekend, and Mark Skaife has streeted the field yet again. Marcus Ambrose will come across in 2nd position. Jeff Grech gives the thumbs up to his number 1 man. Surely the trophy is pretty much in the bag. There's 2nd, around 15 seconds behind Marcus Ambrose. Let's take a look at the Shell Helix race score. Skaife, Ambrose and Bright finish race 2, 1, 2 and 3. Look at the gap though. Ambrose 15.5 seconds back. Richards, Ingle, Bernard in 6th. Lowndes and Ellery. Stephen Ellery with a top 10 performance. Garth Tander in 9th, and Neil Crompton gets the 00 Motorsport Ford Falcon up into the top 10. Longhurst, Bow, Seaton, Cameron McConville, a big mover. Rick Kelly, Anthony Tratt 1 lap back.